Ever met someone who walks into a room and yanks gravity toward themselves, like everyone else is suddenly orbiting their ego? That's exactly what happened the first moment Rachel Zegler stormed into Evita rehearsals. 1 second, it was just another day on stage. The next, every light felt aimed at her, every breath measured by her mood. To the press, this was the comeback story, a Disney darling trading tiaras for a legacy role destined to make critics swoon. But the cast felt something sharper, ambition crackling into arrogance, rehearsals twisting from collaboration into captivity. They tried to shake it off, chalk it up to passion. Then came the meltdown that proved you can't gift wrap chaos and call it genius, and that's where our story really begins. Landing the role of Eva Peron is like stealing the crown jewels of musical theater, glittering, historic, and fiercely guarded by critics who can sniff pretenders from the back row. Patti LuPone forged immortality there. Madonna spun it into Oscar gold, and every ambitious soprano since has measured her lungs against that impossible balcony note. For 23-year-old Rachel Zegler, still wiping Disney glitter from her resume, the part promised resurrection, one roaring press. Night and every snarky headline might disappear. It was a high-wire act with safety nets made of newsprint, and Rachel strutted onto the rope as if she'd invented gravity. Inside the pea green rehearsal hall, the team rolled out royal treatment. Vocal coaches cleared calendars, choreographers shifted blocking to frame Rachel's camera-ready angles, and costume designers stitched 4 versions of the iconic ivory gown so the silk would shiver exactly when the follow spot kissed her final lyric. Investors were ecstatic. Pre-sale alerts crashed the theater's website within an hour, and scalpers floated triple-digit markups before the ensemble had even harmonized. To industry watchers, it looked like destiny swiping right on both artist and role. To the cast who watched her stride in late, phone flashing, it felt more like a takeover. Destiny, however, carries a short fuse when ego sparks the match. By Friday, tiny tremors rattled the room. Entrances missed without apology, vocal notes brushed off as restrictive, spontaneous high kicks that sent partner lifts skidding off mark. Colleagues traded polite smiles, hoping tomorrow would reset the tempo. Instead, each rehearsal ratcheted tension another click, fraying nerves like cheap satin under hot lights. Backstage whispers grew teeth. She's auditioning for herself, not the show. By weekend's end, a veteran swing dubbed the vibe hostage chic, and the phrase stuck like gum beneath every folding chair, foreshadowing the collision racing toward them. Nobody knew it yet, but the detonator was primed inside one show-stopping number, and the moment she hit that stage again, the company would discover how fast admiration can flip into a full-scale revolt. Day 2 opened with a thunderclap of silence. Rachel's first entrance clocked in 41 minutes after the call time, cell phone still glowing with unread DMs. The music director, cheeks tight, restarted the overture as if conducting an exorcism rather than a warm-up. She sauntered to her mark, flashed a photo-ready grin, and waved off the lost half hour with, "Creative energy can't punch a time card." A few ensemble members laughed, but the sound landed brittle, like glass about to spider. That afternoon's vocal session set a precedent no memo could fix. When the coach suggested easing off the belt in the last refrain to preserve stamina, Rachel countered, "Eva never conserved power, neither will I," then blasted the note again, brighter, harsher, almost daring her chords to fray. The pianist winced. By coffee break, whispers circled about how many 8-show weeks those chords could survive. Choreography rehearsals fared no better. The director mapped a tight diagonal waltz for Buenos Aires, only for Rachel to freestyle a jagged spin that nearly clipped 2 dancers. She called it liberating the feminine body from colonial geometry. The assistant choreographer scrawled revisions, teeth grinding in staccato. Later, a veteran cast member tried to finesse spacing by offering to swap places. Rachel's smile iced over. "I trust my instinct. Maybe you should trust yours less." The conversation ended there, frost forming in midair. Wardrobe felt the shockwave next. Fittings, scheduled in 30-minute slots, sprawled past an hour as Rachel demanded micro-adjustments to the waistline so Eva's silhouette screams autonomy, not elegance. Seamstresses obliged, but pins flew and tempers followed. Someone joked the gown required its own dramaturg. No one laughed. By week's close, stage management tallied 6 unexplained delays, 3 schedule overruns, 1 near collision on a lift, and an informal complaint citing unsecured emotional environment. The numbers told a story the publicity team hadn't scripted. The dream casting was leaking goodwill faster than spotlights could gloss it. In theater, momentum is sacred. Once it tilts, every step starts sliding toward a ledge. The ledge arrived on rehearsal day 7, during a song that should have ignited applause, not detonated a crisis. What no one predicted was the velocity. One wrong breath, one glare caught on someone's phone camera, and the entire company would find itself clinging to the edge. It took less than a week for tension to crystallize into open defiance. During Tuesday's blocking session, the director mapped a disciplined tableau for Rainbow Tour, spotlighting Eva's calculated charm. Rachel let him finish, then stepped forward like a professor correcting a novice. Eva isn't charming, she's dangerous, she announced, voice slicing the hush. This scene needs teeth. She proposed ripping the choreography apart, inserting sharp angular stomps to show feminine rage reclaiming space. The director blinked. The room waited. When he gently reminded her the story was about political seduction, not punk protest, she fired back, "You don't understand evil like I do." 20 pairs of eyes found the floor. Nobody breathed until the stage manager called a water break. That break lasted an hour. No one wanted to return first. By afternoon, Rachel was rewriting dialogue on the fly, changing Madame Perron to Comrade Perron, insisting the new wording dismantled patriarchal framing. Actors scrambled to adjust cues. Line notes fluttered like confetti. One veteran whispered every page felt radioactive. Touch it wrong, and you'd lose a finger. Even the orchestra sensed the drift. The conductor joked he was scoring a hostage video in real time. The lighting board op muttered he might dim the spots 5% just to cool the temperature. But nobody laughed. Backstage, whispers hardened into strategy. 3 ensemble members, a dialect coach, and the prop master convened in a corridor they dubbed the bunker. They started documenting timestamps, direct quotes, every scheduled delay, every scalding retort. A senior swingman built a shared encrypted folder labeled, "For the producers, when, not if." By Thursday, half the company had access. No vendetta, they insisted. Just a paper trail sturdy enough to survive lawyers and tabloids alike when the inevitable explosion came. And it was inevitable. Every rehearsal now felt like a glass of water perched on a fault line, vibrating, seconds from shattering. The question wasn't whether Rachel would push too far. It was what would snap first. The director's patience, the orchestra's tempo, or the star herself. The cast didn't have to wait long to find out. The rehearsal for New Argentina began with adrenaline, the kind directors pray for, the kind that crackles through the rigging and wakes every seat in the empty house. The ensemble formed the barricade line, drums rolled, and Rachel stormed center stage in a swirl of spotlight. For 30 electric seconds, it looked like the storm might finally align with the score. Then, mid-song, she froze. One gloved hand, raised to rally the masses, simply hung there. Music thundered on until the conductor, panicked, slammed a cutoff. "What is this circus?" she shouted, voice ricocheting off the proscenium. "I'm done with the play-acting revolution." She ripped off the glove, flung it like a gauntlet, and marched off, skirts whipping the stunned ensemble in her wake. Gasps collided with dropped props. Someone's flagpole clattered. The moment felt unreal, as if history itself had glitched. No one moved for what felt like minutes. Finally, the stage manager's headset crackled. "Hold, please." A single dancer recovered enough to whisper, "She just quit mid-anthem." Another muttered, "She quit reality." The director called a 10, but nobody left. They needed witnesses. Back in the green room, Rachel's dressing room door slammed. Through the cinder block walls, faint shouting bled. Her agent on speakerphone, perhaps, or a harried producer begging, damage control. On stage, the cast clustered like survivors after a quake. A veteran automatically typed a real-time account into the shared file. A swing recorded the empty stage on her phone, timestamp flashing red proof. The bunker dossier was no longer theoretical. It was evidence stacking itself. When Rachel failed to return after 30 minutes, the director pivoted. "We run with the standby," he announced, voice flat. Scripts were reshuffled, blocking tweaked. The understudy emerged pale but steady. She stepped into the spotlight, inhaled, and belted the anthem so cleanly half the crew forgot to breathe. Some tectonic shift clicked into place. Collective applause erupted, not for ego or spectacle, but for oxygen and genuine shared relief. In that roar, the company realized they'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Evita could and would go on without its self-declared center of gravity. By sunrise the morning after Rachel's walk-off, the rehearsal hall felt more like a boardroom preparing for a hostile takeover than a playhouse. Laptops flickered, screenshots loaded, and the bunker crew converted weeks of frustration into a footnoted timeline. Chronic tardiness, costume overalls, 18 instances of public beratement, and the 4K clip of her circus tirade immortalized by a drummer's phone balanced behind the timpani. Every entry carried a date, a witness, and cross-references, the kind of paperwork that survives lawyers and leaks. At noon, a delegation of 10, representing principals, ensemble, orchestra, and crew, requested a closed door with the producers. They filed not as performers, but as plaintiffs, dossiers tucked under arm. The lead swing spoke first, voice steady. "Productivity is impossible, safety compromised." She slid the binder across the table. A violinist added, "We're not demanding special treatment, we're demanding standard respect." The producers leafed through stills of rattled dancers, email chains timestamped 2 a.m., and stage management logs drenched in red ink. Financial reality hits harder than any moral plea. Every overtime sheet, Every rewired light cue, every remade dress translated to bleeding capital. That wasn't artistic temperament. That was budget sabotage. Finally, the dance captain delivered the sentence rehearsed in a dim corridor. This is an ultimatum, not a suggestion. If Mrs. Zegler stays, half your company walks before the first. Preview. No shouting, no insults, just a calm promise of collective resignation. One producer whispered, "You're asking us to fire our star 5 weeks out?" The dialect coach corrected him, "We're telling you, your star fired herself." The meeting adjourned in 20 taut minutes. Delegates returned to the stage and resumed pliés, but the air carried a new clarity. 30 minutes later, an updated call sheet pinged inboxes. Understudy in boldface, Rachel's name ghost gray. No announcement, no spin, only a line of text. All scenes will be run without Ms. Zegler until further notice. Applause erupted. Not triumphant, but cathartic. The sound of a collective knot finally severed. Outside, a spring rain tapped the marquee. But inside the theater, the storm had passed, and something steadier, braver, had started humming through every note. From the minute the replacement Eva, 26-year-old Londoner Samira Hayes, took her first full run, the production inhaled as one organism finally cleared its lungs. She'd been Rachel's shadow for weeks, glued to the back of the room with a pencil-thin notebook, never pushing, never preening. Now, when the conductor lifted his baton, she moved like she'd always owned the rhythm. Her voice wasn't a declaration of ego, but a river, steady, controlled, widening only where the score demanded. Stagehands leaned over the rail just to watch the difference. No grandstanding, no improvised high kicks, only choreography clicking into place with the soft certainty of magnets finding poles. Momentum multiplied. The dance ensemble, free from collision anxiety, sharpened formations in 2 takes instead of 12. Costume fixers stopped ripping seams. The ivory gown finally held its shape because Samira held hers. Even lighting cues became easier. She hit every spike mark, letting spots follow their plotted arcs instead of chasing renegade flourishes. By day's end, scenes that had bled 15 overtime hours the previous week ran clean and 5 minutes under. But the real miracle was intangible. Laughter returned at water breaks. The props table stopped rattling from clenched fists. People volunteered for extra music calls just to ride the new current. A trumpet player joked the show had traded gasoline for sunlight. Crew veterans whispered they hadn't felt an ensemble locked together this fast since Hamilton's previews. Samira absorbed the praise without sparkles or cryptic captions. Asked whether she felt ready to headline, she shrugged. Ready's just rehearsal scaled up. The quote traveled, quiet and fearless, through dressing rooms, an antidote to the chaos everyone was still detoxing from. Nobody said Rachel's name anymore. They didn't need the ghost in the wings. The company had chosen a new gravity, one that held rather than distorted. A show that once orbited drama finally turned toward opening night. Tickets, once stagnant, began to tick upward as word of mouth seeped onto message boards and industry group chats. Theater gossip rarely escapes niche Broadway chats, yet Rachel's sudden disappearance sent shockwaves across the wider web. Silence landed first. Her Instagram, once a drip feed of dressing room selfies and living history sermons, went pitch black. No stories, no likes, just the ghost of a profile picture in limbo. Influencer commentators jumped in, posting side-by-side analytics showing Evita ticket searches spiking the moment her social silence began, joking that she'd achieved what marketing budgets dream of, just in reverse. Reddit threads dissected her old interviews, labeling her the method actor of mayhem, while Facebook theater groups traded second-hand eyewitness accounts like currency. Hours later, the official Evita account scrubbed her tags, replacing glam shots with ensemble stills and a caption that read, "Collaboration in progress." TikTok drama channels pounced, splicing leaked rehearsal snippets with Donna Summer's hot stuff. One video hit 1 million views before dinner, birthing the gleeful tag Zegler out. Over on X, theater diehards resurfaced every red carpet quip where she playfully shaded co-stars. A supercut titled "This Didn't Age Well" trended worldwide, buoyed by footage of understudy Samira Hayes nailing the balcony note while stagehands visibly relaxed in the wings. Yet backlash wasn't unanimous. A loyal faction insisted the cast was intimidated by her disruptive genius, rallying behind ushered justice for Rachel. Digital trenches formed, meme makers thrived. One viral carousel showed 2 playbill mock-ups: talent without tantrums beneath Samira's face, Wi-Fi down, diva offline, below Rachel's. Ticket resellers cashed in, advertising guaranteed. No drama preview dates at premium prices. Meanwhile, industry insiders subtweeted coded applause for collaborative energy finally returning to the Palladium. Each cryptic nod drew thousands of likes, quietly confirming what no press release yet dared. Through it all, nothing from Rachel. No apology, no behind-the-scenes selfie, no notes app confession. Every silent hour amplified the verdict. In an algorithm that punishes absence, her disappearance read like guilt. For Samira and the Reborn Company, the online inferno doubled as free publicity. For Rachel, it became a cautionary hashtag branded across her career. Talent opens doors, but respect keeps them from slamming shut. The first invited preview arrived like dawn after a blackout. No press release, no champagne photo op, just a chilled London night and an audience heavy with industry eyes. Inside, murmurs rose over the playbill. Samira Hayes listed above the title, Rachel's name missing as neatly as a magic trick vanished. The house lights dimmed, the orchestra swelled with that familiar martial pulse, and from her first silhouetted turn, Samira seemed to pull the score into new focus. What struck people wasn't pyrotechnic reinvention, but precision. A hand laid on Juan's shoulder at the exact beat the strings modulated, a half-smile timed to a cymbal hiss. Critics scribbled furiously, but the silence between numbers told the real story. Everyone was listening, not rubbernecking. When she soared through Don't Cry For Me, Argentina, the balcony note floated instead of stabbed, filling the rafters with something close to gratitude. Backstage, crew veterans exchanged nods hardly visible in the glow of cue monitors. Nobody voiced it, but they felt the ledger balance. Turmoil paid, harmony delivered. After the curtain call, 3 standing ovations deep, the director gathered, the company in the wings. Voice trembling, he called the performance a masterclass in ensemble oxygen. Word leaked out through midnight texts and breathless tweets from seat fillers. By morning, 2 national papers ran early reviews headlined Eva Reborn and A Triumph of Teamwork. Ticketing sites refreshed with a new banner. Limited, seats remain. And this time the surge came from hope, not morbid curiosity. The production had survived its crucible, and in doing so, it had forged a legend no marketing campaign could manufacture. The show that kicked ego off the balcony and sang cleaner for it. So here we are, a sold-out house, a standing ovation, and one very loud absence. Rachel Zegler once promised Evita would redefine her, but the role ended up redefining the show without her. In theater, as in life, talent cracks the door open, but respect keeps it from slamming on your heel. The cast learned that the hard way. The understudy proved it in one breathtaking night, and the audience left whispering about collaboration, not controversy. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Was Rachel a visionary who flew too close to the spotlight, or a cautionary tale about mistaking volume for value? Drop your take in the comments, because this debate is far from over. And if you want more backstage truths, untold rivalries, and careers balanced on a single note, make sure you smash that subscribe button and tap the bell. We've got plenty more curtain call stories coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss the next reveal.